Hi, I'm Natasha,
And I'm Cory.
and welcome to our podcast. We are not,
Afraid.
episode 7. Can you believe we're already in 7?
We are, and we're going to talk about one of our favorite topics.
Ghost hunting. Dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun. We're just going to be talking about a quick overview of all our favorite ghost hunting shows, like Ghost Hunter, Ghost Adventure, Dead Files. There's a lot, really a lot. So we're going to try to narrow it down to the few that we like and some of the personalities and techniques they use, and
Well, the biggest question, is it real or fake?
no one knows.
No one knows.
What's your first ghost hunting show that you've seen
Oh,
that you have memory of seeing? Like the first episode, and you're just like, what the heck is this?
yeah, I can't really remember. If anything, I think it would have to be Ghost Hunters
Mm-hmm.
with the two plumber guys, right?
Jason and Grant,
Jason
yes.
and Grant, yeah.
Yes.
So that's as far back as I can remember, as far as like
Ghost Hunters, wasn't it?
reality TV based ghost hunting show. Yeah. Before that, like paranormal shows, it wasn't even paranormal show, but it was like unsolved mysteries.
Mm-hmm.
A show like that
Yeah. That
was creepy back in the day, but it
that's the
wasn't really a
first
ghost
one.
hunting show.
No, there was some episodes that were UFOs and
Yeah.
like unexplained phenomenons that happen in the
Mm-hmm.
houses and such. Fun fact, Ghost Hunters is one of the first ones, started filming in 2004.
It's probably why it's one of my earliest
Yeah.
memories. What's yours?
My earliest memories, and I can tell you by the episode, it was Paranormal State. It was on
Mm-hmm.
A&E at the time. And it was episode 3, The Devil in Syracuse.
Okay.
At first I was like, what the heck is this? And then I was already into, horror movies and horrors. For the 30 minutes, because back then it was only like 30 minutes on TV,
Yeah.
I was captivated. I was like glued to the TV. I didn't want to leave for commercials because back then we had commercials, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to leave because I would miss something. And it was like
Yeah.
that really captured me. And then that was it.
But it's interesting because it is presented in a reality based format. It's
Mm-hmm.
not presented as acting, although in some cases
No.
it might seem like it with a few personalities.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, these shows are presented as reality. You believe it or you don't, right?
Well,
And that's kind of what hooks you in.
yeah. So if you're watching those types of shows, you already have a belief system. You already it could be and could not be really.
Hmm.
Like you understand that, but
Especially if you've had an experience.
yeah, and you just want to kind of immerse yourself in it. You want to believe at the time that you're watching it that it's real. And
Yeah.
that's the whole purpose of the show, right? Were you scared the first time you saw it? Were you kind of like, what's going to happen, or is this real, or did you be just kind of like, oh, this is a show, let's
Honestly,
just
I think at the time, I think it was just a show, but I wasn't a diehard watcher
yeah,
of the show, like
yeah.
week to week. Something that may have just been on TV, because also back in the early 2000s,
Mm-hmm.
everything was on TV. There
Yeah,
wasn't
there's
on
no
demand,
streaming.
there was no binging.
No.
So if you caught it, you caught it.
Yeah.
If you didn't,
We had PVR, so I would PVR everything.
oh,
Or
weren't you rich?
yeah.
Well, we had illegal cable and satellite, so
We PVR'd everything or video recording or whatever it
yeah.
was. When Paranormal State came out, there was PVR on our cable system, so I was able to capture, record everything. But
Hmm.
I was not afraid. I was not, haha. I was not scared of the show, but I was very intrigued because we've never seen that before, right? We've
Yeah.
never seen a bunch of people.
Well, it was
And
young people too.
it was young. It was okay. So Paranormal State is about this college or university, Penn State. They
Hmm.
had a committee or society or class
A
or
club.
something that they would go and help people. Cases. They would take
Yeah.
cases of people that had activity at their house, either ghost activity, paranormal activity, whatever the case, and they would investigate and try to debunk everything as best as they can and try to prove things as well. So that was like, okay, so I've never seen one of those EMF machines. I've never seen any of that, any of their like tools. So as you're watching it, they were explaining the devices they're using. It was really cool watching them do it.
Yeah, I mean, when you see those gadgets and the technology for the first time, what are you thinking? Here's these lights flashing, things are
Yeah.
beeping.
For you as a new viewer, you're like, what the hell are they doing? Like, what does those lights mean?
Does
What
this
is,
really prove that there's
yeah, like
spirits?
EMF? What is that? And now that we've watched it, it's electronic.
Electromagnetic
Thank
field
you, thank you.
detectors. Yes.
He does the fancy word, and I just abbreviate everything.
Just before you close the topic on paranormal state, was there not some sort of controversy surrounding them?
There was, and most of the even today shows, is it real? Is it not? Are they being pressured by
The
the
networks?
networks to make it more relatable, to put more scares there, to
Mm-hmm.
put like fake things? There was a lot of controversy. Now, it was never proven, and we'll never know. But I think in the early episodes, like this has been on for quite a while, 2007 to 2011. The first seasons, they didn't capture a lot
Right.
because it was real investigation. Near the end, you kind of questioned, was that real? Was it fabricated?
Hmm.
Did someone in the
Well, I think
background?
you're always questioning that when you're watching
Yeah,
these shows
but
because some things do seem, and then other things are like, oh, come on, this is
yeah. But I
bullshit.
think you and I can kind of figure out the ones that are more for gimmick and the ones that are
Yeah.
more dramatic, overly dramatic, and then the ones that are like, okay, they didn't capture a lot of stuff. There was a few
Mm-hmm.
little bumps here and there. Those were more realistic
Yeah,
because let's be real, you're not going to capture everything in one night or two
that's
nights whether
true.
they're there.
That's true.
The other thing is, I just said it here, nighttime hunting, right? So everything has to be turned off
Right? Why do you always have to do
because
ghost investigations at night
because
with the lights out? They
because
only come out at night, the freaks and the ghosts.
no, well, yes, but no, there's a theory behind it where the witching hour, right? So 3 o'clock in the morning is usually the witching hour. it's
Right.
it's this superstitious thing where
Mm-hmm.
during the day you're not afraid. You're mostly kind of like, oh, it was the house settling or it was the
Yeah, but if creepy
pipes.
things are going on during the day, it's
Right.
gonna scare you.
But for the
It doesn't
most
matter.
part, stuff's happen at night when
Yeah.
you're more relaxed, when there's
Yes.
not a lot of lights.
You
So
feel more vulnerable.
yeah, and then you hear something, you're like, where did that come from? What was that? Did you
Yeah.
hear that? And we'd have those moments here in this house,
Oh,
and
of
it's
course.
like, did you hear that? And you'd be like, oh, you hear a thing, and I'm like, I swear, I just heard something. But at night is usually the creepy factor of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's my theory. It's the creepy factor. It's the superstitious of 3 o'clock in the morning.
You just said it. The most famous line from every paranormal investigation show. What is it?
Oh yes, did you hear
Did you
that?
hear that?
It's true. Did you hear
Did,
it?
did you hear that? What
Long
what does that
silences.
mean?
I was doing a dramatic thing, long
Yeah.
silences. And then
Yeah.
whoop, jump
Jump
scare.
scare, jump scare, yeah.
Right? So if you watch those shows, they're usually like they're
They'll
fixated on
focus.
something.
Yeah.
4 feet to the right is where the action happens, and then
Yes,
they're
it's
like
never on
scrambling.
camera.
Yeah, they're
It's like,
scrambling to
I
get it.
swear I
And
just saw something out of my
it's out of
eye.
focus, and you're like,
Yeah.
there's nothing there.
Yeah. And then a piece of dust floats past
Yeah,
the camera
it's an anomaly,
and there's
and
an
at this moment,
anomaly.
there's an anomaly that passes through. Sorry,
Yeah.
Zach Baggins. So, do you think? Did you hear that? There's an anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think those things still work today, or are they just kind of like stop talking about it?
I do think that some of the tropes that are really common are creepy still. I actually do. When the people claim that they're completely alone,
Yeah,
especially the shows where the hosts are filming it themselves and they don't have a crew following them. So you kind of have the idea that yes, they are alone or they're with their partner
yeah,
and you hear footsteps and
kind
they're in an
of.
underground tunnel or something or
Yeah, it's made to make you
hospital.
believe there's only two people there. Where's the other footsteps or voices coming from?
So are these footsteps there? Are they hearing the same thing we're hearing?
Mm.
The microphones are picking it up. They say they hear it with their with their bare ears. I find that stuff still to be creepy.
It is.
When you see a door opening in the
Yes. Oh,
distance, you can
yes.
always say there was a wire,
See,
but it's still creepy as hell.
yeah.
You
And
don't
I
know if it's
find
real.
watching those shows more terrifying than watching like movies. It's weird because I think it's because of the reality of it,
Yeah.
right? Okay, let's talk about some of the tech stuff that they use.
Okay.
So, EMF readers, spirit boxes, SLS cameras.
Yeah.
Do you think they add tension or are they just like noises or just gimmicks?
In the early days of
Mm,
ghost hunters and paranormal state, their technology was really basic.
yeah.
So they were pretty much using just the EMF detectors. So if there was some sort of electromagnetic energy that would trigger the device, they would claim it was a spirit.
Well, I think the first ones that ever came out was the dowsing rods. That people have been
Well,
using that
that's
for
old
years.
school.
Like
Yeah,
that's
the
really
dowsing
like
rods and the pendulum.
yeah, like that's something that's been used in some of our shows that we watch. What
Yeah.
Kindred Spirits, they use that
Hmm.
one a lot, which I find is fascinating how that works. Some of the ones that I don't quite understand yet, and I think you have the same thing as a spirit box, right? So I
Yeah.
know it uses like the AM FM radio frequencies. They use the ghost spirits, whatever, use
Yeah,
the
so
energy
it
to speak
it
through it. But
rotates very fast through frequencies,
right,
and some way somehow spirits can communicate through this. I just thought of this right now. On the shows,
yeah,
they always have there's different spirit box devices that they
yeah.
use. Is there a microphone on it? How does the spirit voice come through?
It doesn't.
I just thought
It
of
doesn't.
this.
It's not the spirit voice. From what I understand, that they've explained a few times on certain shows, is it takes like words that are in like the universe of radio or static electricity, and it comes through there. So it may have a female voice, may have a male voice,
Right.
but it doesn't necessarily mean that's the spirit's voice. It's just picking words, kind of like those word devices that spews
Yeah.
out a word to you.
Damn, I can't.
It's the same concept. It
Yeah.
just picks words and then spits it out at you. And that's what I think happens. But then it's like, is it just words that the
No, because sometimes they're like full
they
sentences, sometimes they're
yes,
intelligent
yeah.
answers, and they're always in English.
Yeah, why is that? Why is it always in English? Ghosts always English? Like they die and they just become English? Like what happens if they're
Well,
German? What happens if they're
I,
Italian?
I guess if they did investigation shows in those countries, they would be in their own languages, but we
But
don't
there's
watch those ones.
immigrants. I've seen a few shows where
Well, how old are the
the
spirits?
exactly, exactly. If they go to a farmhouse out in a rural area that's been inhabited for 100 and something years, there's like descendants, right? And
Sure.
there's been a few shows where they've had German families living in that house,
Yeah.
and I know that sometimes they wouldn't get any kind of reaction from the ghost, but then they got someone that spoke German, and the German person would be like speaking to the ghost, and then they got reactions. That was cool because it kind of like okay, that ties them
Okay.
together. But then the other shows don't do that, and I'm just like digital voice recorders, EVPs. Now I don't know about this. Like it, sometimes they say they hear things, and I'm listening so hard, and I'm like, I really did not. It's literally just like, blah. It's literally like, and they're like, oh, it just said hello. I'm like, no, no, it
So
didn't.
typically, what they do is they'll ask a question and then they'll
Yeah,
pause for a few seconds for a potential response.
right.
Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's
It's
not.
it's usually not. Well, they say it's there. I don't hear it. Half the time, I don't hear it. Like they're like, oh, it just said this, and I'm like, where the hell did you just
Well,
hear that?
and what they like to do on the shows is spelled
Written.
out on the captions.
Yes,
So now it's
it's in your
it's
mind.
what do they call that? Subliminal message,
Yeah.
right? So you're reading what's there and to the sounds that you're hearing. It's like, oh, it does kind of sound like
Hmm.
they said that.
Yeah, and I'm then just like, what I do usually the first time that they play it back, I do close my eyes so that I can hear it better, right? Because your senses are heightened,
Hmm.
and I still don't hear it. I think
Not
sometimes
all
it's
of them. No,
bullshit.
not all
Let's
of
be
them.
honest. Sometimes it is bullshit. SLS cameras.
These are one of
So
my favorites.
sometimes the ghosts are inappropriate, but anyways,
Thank
it's
God for
literally
Xbox.
it's literally like a stick figure. It
Yeah,
maps out a stick figure of a unknown anomaly.
yeah. So it's the same technology that's used. It started by Microsoft Xbox for the hands-free
Yeah.
controllers. So it would map out your body and it would scan you into the game and track your movements.
Yep.
So it's the same technology that's being used here, but according to users of the technology, I don't know about the developers, but they say that it can track an entity other than the people that are in the room. So, in other words, a spirit. So,
Which
is it true? Is it
I
real?
don't know.
I mean,
It's
obviously
so
anything can be
it
faked in
kind of
post production.
it's cool if it's there. And when they some of the ghost hunters when they like, oh, there's a cold spot here, and then this like
Oh, the cold
there's
spot. Well,
cooking
that's the thermal imaging
hold
cameras.
on, and then they have these like stick figures show up and they're
Yeah.
like pretty much touching them, or one of them is like
Uh huh.
on them or sitting on. That's kind of cool. You
You
have
have
to
to suspend
believe.
your disbelief, right?
You have to believe if
It
you
is a
really.
television show, but it's
Yeah.
entertainment.
Yeah.
You can choose to believe it's real.
So thermal imaging, you just touched on that
Yeah,
one. So thermal imaging, I'm okay with. I like that. I like that they
I
use
like
it,
that tech.
but they need to
That's a
use.
realistic.
I think they need to use more of a heat sensor. You know when they always say like, "Oh, come over here, it's cold," and then they put their
But they
hand
never
and,
have a thermal imager to prove it,
but not even thermal imaging, like some a temperature gauge or
or a
something.
temperature gauge,
They need
anything.
that.
The
I think
laser, the little laser one.
yeah, the
Pew!
little like for the ovens and stuff. You use
Yeah,
that. Yeah. I think they need that. But I think the problem is
to
they don't
show
use
a
it.
fluctuation, right?
Some of them don't use it, I think, because they're faking it. But that's just my take.
Well,
That's my take.
it's
But they
possible.
should use it because it kind of detects, and some of them do use it, and they do see like something running in the window, beaming it at a window, and then it's like
Yes,
you
and
see
you'll see
something just
something
like,
cross the
and
path.
there's supposed to be nobody in that house or that building, and you're like,
Exactly.
what the fuck was that?
You see the hot spot or the cold spot moving.
Yes, it's creepy. REM pods.
REM pods. I think REM pods are bullshit, but that's me.
I don't know if they're real. Holy crap, it's creepy because you think about it, right? So the REM pod is this like cylinder kind of thing that's they put, I don't know, a couple feet away from wherever they are,
Hmm.
and it's supposed to detect temperature if someone touches it and
Yeah.
vibrations. That's
So
what
it
it's
emits
supposed
its
to.
own electromagnetic field,
Yes.
and if something passes through that field,
Yes.
it beeps or
Yes.
lights up.
It beeps. It lights up if it's the temperature changes, and if someone touches it, then it beeps like in a certain way.
So if a spirit passes through it,
Yeah.
that's how they're determining that there's a spirit there or a spirit's communicating.
Yeah.
Often they'll say, "Oh, can you make the device light up? Yes or no?" And they'll try to have a
Yeah.
conversation.
They do that with the EMF as well. Like
Is it
the tilt
creepy and
lights.
dramatic? Yes. Is it real? I don't know.
I don't know, but if it's real, it's pretty freaking creepy.
Actually, there's another one that kind of falls into that same category that
Which
they
one?
use. The lights.
Oh, the
When
flashlights.
no, the lights that the like the light
Oh,
strips
yeah,
they
yeah,
put
yeah,
on the
yeah. The
ground.
LED strips,
Yeah, so
motion
they're
detectors.
like motion detectors, I guess.
Hmm.
So if there's some sort of energy
Yeah,
passing through the motion
it
detection
lights
field, it
up.
will light
That's
up
pretty
or
creepy too. If I see that happen, I'm gonna be like, we're out of here. The Boo Buddy. Now, this is usually when there's like a child present.
yeah, I've seen
Um,
different takes on that.
it's like a bear
A
or some
toy.
kind of teddy of
Yeah.
plush toy, and it reacts to different, like if it's cold it'll say like, oh, it's cold in here, or if it's hot it'll say it's hot in here, or if you touch it it starts giggling, which that is creepy, and different kind of tones, and it's kind of
Yeah, it is kind of creepy
if
because
it
it
detects something and it
responds in a
says, do you want to
childlike
play?
voice.
Can you imagine you're in pitch? Okay, people, close your eyes. You're in complete darkness, and all you hear is the little stuffy that's in front of you saying,
Yeah.
do you want to play? That is creepy. The one that really creeps me out is the music box.
Oh yeah, the music box. I
The
forgot about that.
music box. That thing.
Yes.
So the music box is again kind of like the REM pod. It's you put it in a specific room or specific spot where there's
Mm-hmm.
activity. And if something comes close to it or touches it, it plays this really creepy song. It's really,
Because it always
really,
goes off at the most like unexpected time, right?
yes. It's really
And frightens the investigator.
it's just a creepy song. It's just not a good. So again, you're in the darkness and all you hear is this little song, and you're in the other room and there's no one supposed to be in that house. What do you do? Yeah,
You
exactly.
run. You get the hell out. But
Okay.
you know what? There's a lot of ghost hunting tools that are used. There's probably a bunch that we've missed.
I think every episode or every season something new comes out
Yeah,
and you're
something's
like,
always
what the
new.
heck is that? Let's talk about some personalities.
Yeah,
Some of the shows that we watch: Ghost Adventure,
yeah.
we watch Kindred Spirits sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
Destination Fear, which is a pretty new one, and some of the characters on that were on Ghost Adventures.
Mm-hmm.
Portals to Hell is a good one. It's no longer on, but
Poor Jack Osborne. His shows just keep getting canceled.
mm,
But they're so good. I
they
love
are
them.
good, actually. They're pretty good. Ghost Brothers, they have a
And
few
the
out
Ghost
there.
Brothers.
They have a few out there. Night Terror, also with Jack.
Yeah.
There's so many out there. So if I missed one,
Um,
but there's a lot. But some of the personalities that we like would be Mr. Zach Bagans
Reagan's, yeah.
from Ghost Adventures. This is my opinion, in my opinion only. I think he is too dramatic for my liking. It's too Hollywood. It's too, I'm a drama student.
Well, on the
I'm.
show, though, there's a lot of recreation. There's a lot of like transitional scenes in between the investigations that are
Mhm,
kind of explaining
mhm,
history and stuff like that.
mhm.
It's more prominent on this show than others.
Right. But he does it in a flair.
And then him and his crew are very dramatic,
Like, they hear something
and it's the end of the
and it's
world.
like they're like they just saw someone
Yeah,
dying.
check
Like,
your underwear.
it's like, relax.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, did you feel that? And they're freaking out. And I'm like, while you're freaking out, you probably just missed like so many things. Like, why don't
Yes.
you keep it calm and just kind of go with it? It's entertaining. So if you like to be entertained, definitely watch him because he will entertain you. Jason Hawes and Grant Wilson from Ghost Hunters.
Yeah.
I think it's just Grant
Jason.
now,
No,
right?
Jason.
Oh, just Jason. They used to be Taps before.
Yeah, that was the name of their organization.
Right. So I like the way they do ghost hunting. They go to different locations, they
Hmm.
set up, they're calm, they split
They
up.
take it seriously.
They split up. They do one room, like let's say there are six people. Two people in three rooms and
Yeah,
then they switch. And they talk
and
about
they
what
compare their
their
experiences. Yeah.
experiences, and they take notes, and they really do debunk stuff. Like sometimes it's like there's a draft or something, and then you kind of like, do you feel that? And then they kind of figure out, oh, it's because there's like a crack or something in the window, or
They're one of the few shows that I can think of that actually review their footage like
yeah.
during the show,
Yeah, I hate when they
because they
don't.
are trying to
Yeah.
debunk things and prove
Hmm.
things.
Amy and Adam from Kindred Spirits. They do some episodes of Ghost Hunter as well.
Hmm.
I absolutely love these two. They're very calm again.
Yeah,
They sometimes provoke the spirits. They kind of like to do that. Now Zach does that, but he does it in a more aggressive,
aggressive
in your
manner. Yeah,
face. Don't do that. Don't piss off
and
a
he's
ghost.
always getting possessed on the
Yeah,
show
I
too.
know.
I hate to keep
I
going
feel the
back to Zach,
page.
but
I like Amy and Adam.
yeah.
Jack Osborne, he's new to the game, but he does really good shows. And again, he's very calm. He tries to look at it in a more realistic,
Realistic.
more
He's a
skeptic kind
believer, but
of
he's also brings a skeptical point of
point of
view,
view. Yeah.
right? He's always
Um,
trying to prove that it's happening.
Katrina Weidman,
Yeah.
from Paranormal State. She's been in Portals to Hell. She's been on Paranormal Lockdown. She's been on a few. She has her own YouTube. I absolutely love Katrina.
Yeah, Katrina is one of the best ones out there, I
She's
find
very
too.
level-headed. She knows her facts. She looks up the history of wherever
Yeah.
she's going. She's skeptical but believer at the same time. She tries to debunk it and and try to think of it as an figure out why something's happening instead of just reacting,
Hmm.
right? And that's why I like her.
So we can't forget about the Ghost Brothers.
Oh,
What do
yes.
you think of I started watching the Ghost Brothers, and I didn't tell you about them because I didn't think you would like it, because they bring a
Really?
bit of a comical
I like them.
take to their ghost hunting.
They're funny.
But their catch is, and they say it, they're the first and only all black ghost
Yeah.
hunting team on television. And they always ask the question, why? And
Because
their answer
because
is The
'Cause
black people, they
don't
don't put up with
they
that shit,
don't listen. I know a lot of black people, and the first thing they tell me is, "Don't bring that shit here."
right?
Okay? Don't mess with the dead. Don't mess with the spirits. Leave them where they are. Don't do it.
So while their style of investigation can be funny at times, they do believe. They are
Hmm.
100% believers in what they're doing, to the point where sometimes some of them won't even step foot into a building
Yes.
because they believe so
Yes.
much. They're so
Yeah.
scared they won't even go in there.
Yeah. They're really. If you ever want to watch a funny ghost hunting show, Ghost Brothers, do it. It's a date. No, it's Marcus. Marcus is the most
Is this the
afraid
one
of
where
the
he got
ball.
molested?
Yes, he is so funny because he is a guy that would just be like, I am not doing this. You guys are crazy if you think I'm doing this. And he will literally walk out. Just,
Jesus is judging me right now, he would say.
he's very, very funny. Nick Gruff, he was in Ghost Adventure,
Yeah.
Paranormal Lockdown with Katrina. He's also really good. He's doing his own thing with his wife. It's not on mainstream television, so I haven't seen
No,
it.
they're on YouTube.
Can't really talk about it, but I like his style as well. Steve Gonzalez
Yeah,
and
we talked about
Tango.
Steve. Oh,
Uh,
Steve and Dave, we didn't talk about them, but
no,
they're
they're
part
part
of
of
the Ghost Hunters
Ghost
team.
Hunters and Ghost Nation. They're more tech savvy, which I like
Yep.
because they're trying to always debunk everything. Steve
Steve
Shippey.
Shippey.
Shippey is another one. Ryan Buell's another one. Coda Lannon, who's Layden, who's was in Ghost Adventures at the beginning. He was a cameraman actually,
Oh, yeah.
and then now he has Destination Fear and Project Fear on YouTube.
Yeah.
His style's a bit something I'm not too fond of. It
Their process of investigation is different. They look at it as a psychological experiment. They're trying to invoke fear
right.
in themselves as
Hmm.
the investigators because they're often doing solo investigations
Hmm.
in terrifying places,
Yeah.
and they also want you, the viewer,
Yeah.
to have that same feeling. They
Hmm.
film it solo, so they don't have a crew following them around.
Right.
So it's always like a first person point of view of what you're seeing as well.
Right.
So that's what I do like about their style.
I
Now their
do.
personalities are
They're
a little wacky
they're
sometimes.
too. I hate to say it, but they're too immature from my viewing.
They can be. They
Like
do like to prank each other with the walkie talkies,
I do.
which is
That's funny
funny.
though. That's it's super quiet and all of a sudden the walkie-talkie goes off. That's
Yeah,
yeah. But no, I do. I don't mind watching them, but I in doses.
yeah.
I've said this to you many times where I don't like when it's too gimmicky, and that's why I have a hard time with Ghost Adventures because it's just too gimmicky. I like a more serious. We're taking it serious. We're doing ghost hunting. We're trying to prove the impossible
Hmm.
and debunk what can be debunked and go from there. Let's talk a little bit about psychics.
Yeah, the psychic
Psychics.
investigators.
Now,
Usually they're guest stars on these
they
shows.
are. Do you think it makes or breaks the show?
You know,
The episode. Let's talk about the episode.
I think it provides a different point of view,
Yes.
but at the same time, I'm very skeptical on psychics,
Hmm.
mediums, people that, so what do you call those people that talk to the dead? Well, that's the medium.
Necromancers,
That's a
mediums,
medium,
yeah.
yeah.
Necromancers.
Necromancer, they control the dead.
Oh,
Yeah, the psychics, they seem to know, they pick up the feelings. Oftentimes they'll bring them into a building or situation blindfolded with
yeah.
no information, air quotes. But at the same time, how do you know that they haven't been prepped? How do you know
You
everything
don't.
they're saying
You
hasn't
don't.
been fed to them?
But that's the thing, right? Like these shows, you got to go in with them
These people have been around long
believing.
enough that they haven't been
Yeah.
blackballed from this industry, so
They
they
haven't been
must be
proven
somewhat legit.
otherwise. So I think my take is that I think it brings a different depth to the show, to
Yeah,
the episode, because these medium psychics are coming in. They're giving a perspective where the investigators probably never thought of, or they're missing information to try to figure out why it's being haunted.
yeah.
So they need that
Or
extra
they're confirming the
information, or
stories that the
well, because
homeowners are telling them
sometimes the homeowners
without
only have
previous
a
knowledge.
portion of the story or
Yeah,
history, or
and they're filling
their
in blanks.
or the other half is like rumors that they're believing is true, which didn't
Hmm.
really happen. So Chip Coffey, He's really my favorite,
Yeah,
to
Chip
be
is
honest.
usually very accurate. He's also very dramatic as well.
He is.
He
But
can be a
he's a
little
little bit of a
emotional.
diva, and it's
Is a bit of a
okay.
diva.
He's been on so many shows. He's been on Paranormal State. That's where I started loving his style
Yeah.
and his like. He's always very. He'll tell you what it is. He's not
Hmm.
afraid to tell you what he thinks, and I love that. He was on Psychic Kids when I watched.
Yeah.
It's literally him helping a bunch of kids who are also psychic or mediums, and helping them through what they're seeing, what they're hearing, and what they're
Yeah.
feeling.
He classifies himself as a clairvoyant,
Yes,
which means he's not really a psychic, but
mhm.
he sees, hears, and feels spirit
Feels, yeah.
energy.
Yes, and he could be at another
He's not a
location.
fortune
He
teller.
doesn't have to be in that location, which is
Yeah.
that part's a little like I'm not too sure about, but it is what it is.
Well, it's a visual,
Yeah.
so he sees and hears things. So
Hmm.
if he is doing it through camera,
Hmm.
he can see and hear
Yeah, and
that
feel what
that
the energy,
energy
right?
being
Cindy
put out.
Kaza, I know you like her a
Yeah, I
lot.
like Cindy.
Cindy's she does this cool thing that I like is when she writes, what's that called?
Automatic
Automatic
writing.
writing, where she kind of sits in her little spot in a
Hmm.
quiet area and she connects with the spirit, the events happening,
Hmm.
and she automatic writes. She literally takes paper and pen and she automatically
Yeah,
writes everything she hears, everything she sees, everything she's feeling. And it's so cool watching. And she's usually like on point.
yeah. I
Like,
like the fact that she's really grounded.
yeah,
So she'll go into a situation, and no matter what's happening, she kind of takes it with stride. And sometimes you'll see her break and actually get scared and be like, "No, I'm not going in
yeah.
that room."
The mirror one, when she's
Yeah,
staring into the mirror, she didn't want to do it.
right.
She did not want to do it. She's like, just, I don't feel right.
But again, her accuracy is so good
It's so
that
on
you
point.
could think it's not real.
Yeah. Another one that I like is Michelle Belanger. And again, I've seen her the first time in Paranormal State. And there's one episode in Paranormal State, and one day I'll show you when they're in this house of a immigrant family. The husband was very abusive. And there's one point in the show where she has her back and hands to the wall,
Hmm.
and she's trying to provoke this man because he was very against women. He was provoking him and being a woman, being, assertive. And at one point you just see a handprint, a right of her, left if we're staring at her, a handprint, a man's handprint just beside her face,
Oh,
maybe
really?
like a few inches away from her face. And at one point the camera kind of spans back to her and they're like, Michelle, did you put your hand on the wall? She's like, oh, I haven't moved. And there was no one around her.
Really?
And she moved away, and her handprints were down below where she had her hands.
Hmm.
And this handprint, the size of a man's hand, she put her hand on top of it,
Right.
and it was like doubled.
Wow.
That
That's
was like,
creepy.
holy crap. So
Well,
that made me kind of like have a little bit of respect for her because
yeah.
she provoked it enough to make it manifest itself. And she's usually dead on.
Well, we are in the midst of rewatching that series, so hopefully
It's near the
we'll
end,
we'll
so you'll see it.
catch it when it comes
Yeah.
up. Before we move on from the personalities,
Yeah.
we got to pay respect to some of the original investigators.
Mm-hmm.
Ed and Lorraine Warren,
Yes.
probably the most famous, known for their countless investigations in the 70s,
Yep.
most famously the Amityville house.
Yep.
They have their occult museum
Mm.
that houses the infamous Annabelle doll.
Yeah. And Lorraine was a psychic medium.
It's like,
She predicted, she said she did, Ed's death. She didn't know when it was going to happen, but she
yeah,
knew how it was going to happen. And she tried to get him away from doing investigations because of it. But unfortunately, he did pass before she did.
yeah,
But yeah, they're pioneers, I think.
yeah.
Of
And Ed was an expert in the occult and
He was.
demonology.
He was. They have many books out there. If
Yes.
you're interested in learning that stuff, they have a lot of books out there. Hans Holzer, they call him the father of paranormal investigation.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but teach their opinion. John Zaffis, I think that's his name. He's the nephew of Ed and Lorraine Warren. I thought he was married to the daughter.
I'm not sure. We'd have to dig in
I thought he was married to the daughter and
and
he was
find out a little
the
more.
son-in-law.
Yeah.
So he holds the haunted museum now, which I believe is still closed to the public. If you're looking for a museum, paranormal museum, there is Zach's museum in
Yeah.
Vegas, so
Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum in Las
which does
Vegas.
hold a lot of creepy crap.
It definitely does.
Chad Kellick, he was a investigator also in the early 2000s. He started off from Paranormal State, but he's done his own stuff, his own movies like A Stir No Face, Two Face, American Ghost Hunter. He also was tried to always provoke the demons and the spirits and stuff. I
Hmm.
don't really like when they do that because it's like, why?
Well, you're opening doors that
Yeah, don't
you might not
don't
be able to
poke the
close.
bear. Like I don't like when they start being aggressive with the spirits and stuff. That's just my
Yeah.
thing.
Let's do our final fear check.
Yeah,
Do these shows scare you?
no,
Are you desensitized?
completely.
Do you find them predictable?
Sometimes no. Some of them are pretty good.
Yeah.
Some of
No,
them
there
are
are.
there's some good
Watching
ones.
so many episodes, you do get desensitized, but every once in a while, there's
Yeah.
something there that just gives you
You
goosebumps
know also why we're desensitized?
because we watch
Because
so much.
most of them all do the same locations. Because there's only a
They do
few.
repeat.
There's only a few really that are
Yeah.
really
And I
known.
do like watching the shows that are based in Europe.
Yeah,
There's a lot of old haunted castles and stuff like that,
that's
old
mainly why I want to go to
farmhouses.
Europe. Would you ever do an investigation? Let's close it out with that.
Wow.
Would you ever go into an investigation alone or with a group of people?
Like a straight up TV style investigation with gadgets and stuff
Yeah,
like
you have
that.
gadgets
Of
and stuff.
course. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
would do
mean,
it
we
too.
kind of had a little bit of an experience that nothing really happened. We were at I can't remember the name of it, but it was a cemetery in New Orleans. Remember?
Yes.
And it was on a ghost tour at
Yes.
night, of course.
Yes.
And we weren't allowed inside the cemetery proper. It was fenced in, but we were kind of on the outskirts.
I forgot
They
about
gave
that.
us some EMF detectors,
I
I
totally
believe.
forgot about that. Yeah.
Remember? And
Yes.
nothing happened.
No.
There was a lot of people there.
Yeah.
But
Do you remember that one picture I have of me taking a picture in the cemetery and there's like a mist? And everybody's like, oh, it's just somebody's breath. I still don't
maybe,
believe that.
yeah.
I don't believe that. I think there was something there.
And the tunnel that we went to
Here
near
in
St.
Niagara.
Catharines.
Yeah. Niagara area.
Yeah.
St. Catharines. Yeah.
An old haunted, purportedly haunted tunnel. So we went to this place. It was during the day, and
Hmm.
we had an experience.
Hmm.
We went into the tunnel with close to fully charged cell phones.
Yeah. It was 80 plus
We were
percentage.
using the phones to take pictures, record video. We weren't there for more than half an
We,
hour.
I think we were
There
there
was a creepy
30
vibe.
minutes.
By the time we decided to leave, we checked our phones and they were less than 10%.
So
There was an energy drain while
I
we were
do
there.
remember hearing something, and I looked at you and I said, "Did you hear that, or was it just like passing by people or something?" It was like a very faint hum. Oh no, that was in the Hermitage.
The
The
Hermitage.
Hermitage.
Yes.
So we're at the Hermitage here in Hamilton. We were doing this ghost tour. I was by myself. Corey was walking around. He was further away from me, and then when there was a group of tours that were with us, they were further from me, and I'm just walking around like a normal person, just kind of looking at the grounds and I swear on everything I own, everyone I love, everyone departed, I heard someone say, "Hey." Not breathy, not anything, just "Hey." And I looked over and it was in my left ear. I kind of thought maybe it was the tour guide who was giving out. He was telling a story, but he was animated telling a story over there and he was further from me. Like this was like someone was right beside me that said, "Hey." And I looked over at you, and you were like 10 feet away. You weren't close at all. And I looked at you and I walked towards you and I'm like, did you say hey? And you're like, look at me like I'm going absolutely crazy. And you're like, what are you talking about? I swear to God, I heard hey. And then throughout the rest of the night, I kept looking behind. I'm like, where's that coming from?
Well, now you know you've been in an official ghost investigation because you said to someone, "Did you hear that?"
Yeah.
So
It's
that's
true.
our take on ghost investigations.
Like them or not, believe them or not, they're great entertaining.
It's definitely entertaining.
If you want to have a good entertainment, watch one of those shows. I'd say if you want a good entertainment, watch Ghost Brothers or Ghost Adventures.
Hmm.
Those are the two most entertaining ones that I can think of.
And if you want some serious ghost hunting,
Portals to Hell.
Kindred Spirits, those are our recommendations.
Portals to Hell is really, really good, actually. It's very, very good and
Awesome.
informative. Very informative. So
Yeah.
definitely check it out. Well, ladies and gents, that's our podcast for today. Thank you for listening in.
We will see you next week.
Next week. Peace.
Peace.
We are not afraid, we won't turn away. Bring on the nightmares, we love to play. Bring on the nightmares, we love to play.